My daughter-in-law shouted, "You old parasite," from the terrace of my own beach house, while her family drank beer on my sofas and my step-grandchildren kicked a ball into the flower pots I had cared for 20 years. I had just arrived in Puerto Vallarta after driving from Guadalajara since 5 in the morning. I had brought a small suitcase, sweet bread for breakfast, and the hope of spending the weekend listening to the ocean, the way I always did when the city made my chest feel tired. That house was not inherited luxury. I built it stitch by stitch, literally, with the money I earned as a seamstress after I became a widow at 42. Every tile, every palm chair, every bougainvillea in the garden cost me years of a bent back and burning eyes from sewing other women's dresses until dawn. So when I saw 4 unfamiliar trucks parked outside the gate, something tightened in my throat. Norteño music was blasting. Cans were scattered beside the fountain. A little girl had left melted ice cream on my Perota wood table. My embroidered cushions were on the floor, wet and covered with sand. I walked in slowly, holding my keys, hoping there was a decent explanation for all of it. Jessica appeared in the doorway wearing my favorite apron, the one I embroidered with yellow flowers when my first granddaughter was born. "What is this old parasite doing here?" she shouted without lowering her voice. "There is no room for you." Everyone on the terrace turned around. Her sister Veronica laughed. Her mother, Dona Graciela, looked at me the way people look at a maid who has arrived late. "Jessica, this is my house," I said, trying not to tremble. "Roberto said we could use it whenever we wanted, besides, you almost never come here. A house like this should not be wasted on a lonely old woman." My face burned. My son Roberto was not there, according to Jessica. He was working in Guadalajara, but her family was occupying my bedrooms, my kitchen, my bathrooms, and even my bed. "I need to come in and rest." "You can't," Veronica said, folding her arms. "All the rooms are full. Go to a hotel. You must have money if you can afford a beach house." A young man in a cap walked out of my living room smoking. "Ma'am, don't ruin the party." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw all of them out. But I was surrounded by strangers mocking me on my own floor, and for 1 second I became that poor widow again, the woman everyone thought they could push around. Jessica stepped closer and lowered her voice, poisonous and confident. "Look, Teresa, I already talked to Roberto. This house has to pass to him sooner or later. You should be grateful the family is using it." I stared at her. Something about her certainty frightened me. This was not just abuse. This was Aplin. "All right," I said with a calm I did not understand. "I understand perfectly." Jessica smiled, believing she had won. I went to a hotel facing the boardwalk. That night, from the balcony, I watched the lights in my house glow as if they were celebrating my exile. I cried, yes. But not from weakness. I cried with cold rage, the kind that does not shout because it is already calculating. The next morning, I returned early. The door was locked from the inside. I had to ring the bell of my own house. Dona Graciela opened it, her hair messy, wearing Milanen robe. "What do you want now?" "My things." She let me in with obvious annoyance. The living room smelled of alcohol, smoke, and old food. In my kitchen, my Talavera plates were broken. In my bedroom, 2 teenagers were sleeping in my bed. My clothes had been stuffed into black trash bags. Then I saw that my secret closet was open. I ran to it. My documents had been scattered. My late husband's gold watch was missing. So were my mother's earrings. But the worst thing was a folder that did not belong to me, an application to transfer my house into Roberto's name, claiming that because of my age he was no longer mentally capable of managing property. Down on the terrace, I heard Jessica talking on the phone. "Yes, Mom, the doctor already signed the dementia report. Now Roberto just has to make sure the little old woman doesn't make a scene." I stood frozen with the folder in my hand. My daughter-in-law had not only invaded my house. My own son was helping declare me insane so he could steal it. I did not go downstairs to confront her. Sometimes dignity is not about shouting. Sometimes it is about leaving with the evidence in your purse. I went back to the hotel, locked the door, and spread everything across the bed, a copy of the application, photos of the destroyed house, Jessica's handwritten notes, the doctor's name, and a list of my stolen jewelry. Then I called the bank. "Don Emilio, I need to block any third-party attempt to access my accounts." The manager had known me for 15 years. I had saved 1 peso after another while everyone assumed I lived only on my pension. "Dona Teresa, you have 2,400,000 pesos in savings and investments. No one touched that without your authorization. I also need a letter confirming that I manage my finances personally." Family trouble? Family war. That same afternoon, I met with attorney Mariana Rojas, a specialist in financial fraud against older adults. I told her everything. I did not cry. I had already cried enough. Attempted property theft, falsified medical documents, robbery, illegal occupation, and financial abuse, she said. We are going to recover our house and expose them legally. The next day, we arrived at the property with a court officer, 2 municipal police officers, and a provisional eviction order. I wore a navy blue dress, dark sunglasses, and my hair pinned back. Jessica was having breakfast on Maiterace with her family when she saw the patrol cars. "What is this?" she screamed. "The owner of the house came to take back what belongs to her," my attorney replied. Roberto arrived 20 minutes later, pale and sweating, still wearing his office shirt. "Mom, we can talk. You already talked when you let your wife throw me out of my own house. It wasn't like that." I held up the folder. "Was it not like that when you tried to declare me incompetent?" Jessica stepped between us. "Roberto only wanted to protect you. You are getting old." The police began escorting people out. Veronica screamed that there were children there. Donna Graciela cried because she could not find her sandals. The court officer documented every bit of damage: broken plates, dye stains in my bathroom, the destroyed garden, scratched furniture. Then my attorney opened another folder. "We have also filed a complaint over the false medical report." Jessica went pale. "That was Theloweyer's idea. And you paid for the lie," I said. Roberto lowered his eyes. "Mom, please don't destroy my family." "Family?" I asked. "When your wife called me a parasite, you did not come. When you signed a false dementia report, you did not think about family. When you let them put my dresses into black trash bags, you did not think about family either." He looked toward Jessica, searching for help. She did not look back. That was when I understood that the loyalty he denied me was not guaranteed to him either. "And what were you planning to do with mine?" "Hetry to take my hand. I am your son." That is exactly why it hurts more. Before leaving, Jessica spat one last sentence at me. "Bitter old woman. No one will take care of you when you end up alone." I looked at her without blinking. I would rather be alone than surrounded by thieves with my last name. When the last car left, I walked into my house. There was silence, but not peace. I crossed the ruined living room, picked up a broken piece of Talavera plate, and felt as if I were holding my own shattered patience. My attorney came closer. "Donna Teresa, this is just beginning. The judge may order a family hearing. Your son will try to make himself look like the victim. Then let him do it in front of everyone." And that is exactly what happened. 1 week later, in a hearing full of relatives, neighbors called us witnesses, and documents spread across the table, Roberto arrived wearing the face of a repentant son. Jessica arrived crying. I arrived with security recordings they did not know existed. The courtroom smelled like paper, sweat, and shame. My sister Lucia traveled from Tepic to be with me. 2 neighbors from my house in Guadalajara were there, along with the gardener who cared for the beach property when I was away, and even the bank manager with the letter confirming that I handled my accounts without assistance. Roberto sat across from me without looking at me. Jessica squeezed a handkerchief like an actress in a soap opera. When the judge asked to hear the evidence, my attorney first projected the photos: my trampled garden, my bed used by strangers, my broken plates, and my clothes stuffed into black bags. Then she played the audio from a hidden camera near the entrance. Jessica's voice filled the room. "There is no room for you, you old parasite." My sister Lucia stood up in outrage. "My sister paid for that house by sewing until she made herself sick." The judge asked for silence. Then came the second recording. Jessica was speaking in the phone. "The doctor already signed the dementia report. Roberto just has to make sure the little old woman doesn't make a scene." Roberto closed his eyes. The judge looked at him. "Did you know about that report?" My son swallowed. "I thought it was what was best for everyone." Those words cut me, but I did not lower my head. "For everyone, or for your wallet?" Jessica burst into tears. "We had debts. Roberto lost money. The children needed school. That house was empty." "My house was not empty," I said. "It was waiting for its owner." My attorney presented the false appraisal, the attempted transfer of ownership, and the complaint against the doctor. Then came the twist Roberto himself did not expect. Donna Graciela, Jessica's mother, stood up trembling. "I want to make a statement." Jessica stared at her in horror. "Mom, no." "Yes. I kept Mrs. Teresa's jewelry." Jessica told me it was an advance on the inheritance. She pulled out a cloth bag. Inside were my husband's watch, my mother's earrings, and a small Virgin Mary medal I thought I had lost. The entire room murmured. Roberto looked at Jessica as if he had just met her. "You took those?" "It was to pay the credit cards," she shouted. "You wanted the house too." That was the moment they stopped being a couple and became frightened accomplices. The judge ordered protective measures, confirmed my full legal capacity, and referred the case to the public prosecutor for fraud, forgery, and theft. Roberto tried to come near me after the hearing. Mom, forgive me. I got carried away. No, son. You let comfort buy you. I am your only son. And he was your only mother. I did not hug him. Not that time. The consequences came quickly. The doctor lost his license while he was investigated. Jessica and Roberto accepted a settlement, a fine, restitution for damages, return of my belongings, and community service with older adults. They did not go to prison, but they were left with a record and a shame the entire neighborhood knew about. Their marriage did not survive. They blamed each other until they separated. I changed every lock, installed cameras, and hired Maria, a widowed neighbor, to watch the house when I was in Guadalajara. I also changed my will. The beach house will not go to Roberto. It will be donated to an organization that protects older adults from family abuse. The first night I slept there again, I cleaned my bedroom with my own hands. I put on fresh sheets, set out fresh flowers, and made cinnamon coffee at sunrise. Then I sat on the terrace facing the ocean. The waves kept crashing as if nothing had happened. Booty was no longer the same woman. Months later, Roberto sent me a letter. He said he understood my pain, that he was in therapy, and that someday he wanted to speak to me again without asking for money or favors. I did not answer right away. A mother can forgive, but she is not obligated to open the door to the same knife. With time, I allowed my grandchildren to visit me. They were not to blame. I taught them to plant new geraniums where the old ones had been destroyed. My 11-year-old granddaughter, Sophia, asked me, "Grandma, why did Dad and Jessica fight with you?" It thought carefully before answering. Because they tried to take something that was mine without asking. Your house? My peace, and my dignity. Sophia looked down. That is wrong. I smiled sadly. Yes, my girl. And when someone does something wrong, they must face the consequences. Today, I am 72 years old. I still sew, but only when I want to. I give talks at community centers about how to protect deeds, accounts, and wills. Many older women come up to me afterward, crying, saying their children also ask them for signatures, powers of attorney, and favors that smell like traps. I tell them, age does not make us burdens. It makes us living history. My house by the sea still stands. Not as an inheritance for an ungrateful son, but as proof the tan older woman can defend herself, win, and look at the horizon again without fear.